I got these calves a breakfast. I figured that today it would be a very good time to take a look at the idea of leveraging against pool number 2. This is a very good time to look at it because these animals, oh yeah, and that small little animal that was in the or that is in the isolation space. He's sitting there in the barn by himself. This morning he's doing a lot better. I took a look at him this morning, and I was like, this calf is definitely doing a lot better. And overnight, over the last 24 hours, I actually realized that the calf is drinking a lot more water. The calf drank about the calf was he was drinking about maybe about 1.5 gallons a day. But the calf is sitting in the barn, and he's got a fan, so he's not really getting very hot and everything. He's not getting too hot, but I realized that this morning, over the last about maybe 2 days, he is drinking substantially more water, and that's a very good sign. And I can also tell that his gut is swelling up, and so that's a very good sign. He's probably drinking a lot more water because he's eating a lot more food is probably what's happening. Because I mean, he's obviously not getting hot. The barn is very cool, and I got a fan going on in there for him. Anytime that it gets hot at night, when it gets cool, I turn the fan off, and so the barn's not very hot. It's not hot at all, and so he's not drinking a whole bunch of water because he's hot. He's probably drinking a whole bunch of water because he's eating a lot more food. And so that's one thing that I've noticed about the calf, is that he is drinking notably more water. He may actually be drinking 2 times as much water as he normally has been. That's how much water he's drinking. He's drinking a lot of water, and he's probably doing that because he's eating a lot more food. And so this morning I actually let him out for about an hour to just go chew on the grass, and he chewed on grass for about an hour, and then I put him back in the pen and locked it up, because it's going to be getting hot, and I won't be there until maybe late in the afternoon. And I want him to sit in the barn with the fan going, and he's got food and water in the barn too. So here in about a week, I figure it'll be about a week. I'll let a couple of the 2 little Red Bulls, I'll let them out to hang out with them, and the 3 of them will sit in the front yard, and they can hang out in the front yard for a couple more weeks. And then so these animals right here, right? But yeah, that's what's going on with that small animal. He's doing a lot better, and I noticed that he is drinking a lot more water. So these animals right here, these animals are these animals are effectively pool number 1 with the unrealized gains added onto them, right? That's what these animals, when I brought in these animals, the average weight of the animal that I brought in was about 225 pounds. And when you take a look at my animals now, the big ones are about 850. Okay, the big ones are about 800. Yesterday I took that one calf to the veterinarian, and they put him on the scale for me, and he weighed 715 pounds on the scale. And the other animals, I definitely have animals that are bigger than he is. Okay, the average weight of these animals is probably about 600, 650. And I am feeding them a little bit more feed now too. I am increasing the amount of feed that they get just by a couple of maybe about an extra bucket a day. I am giving them about an extra 25 pounds of distilled grains a day. And so now I'm feeding them about 125 pounds of distilled grains instead of 100. And so yesterday that animal weighed 715 on the scale. Okay, and the animals, I definitely have animals that are bigger than he is. That animal is a little bit bigger than the average size animal, like the middle, the average of the animals. He's a little bit bigger, but I have another 5 animals that are bigger than he is. Okay, and I mean substantially bigger. Okay, probably 100 pounds heavier than he is. And so these animals, I brought these animals in at 225 pounds, right? I brought these animals in at 225 pounds. And now they're, the average weight on these animals is probably about 550, 600. It probably is. Okay, the average weight on these animals is probably close to about 550, 600. And so I brought them in at 225. The average weight is 550, 600. And these animals will probably be going to market at about 850, 900. The animals that I liquidated in pool number 3, will be going to market at 850, 900. And so right now, if with the metrics where they are, if I just wait, I will make more money. And that money, I may not be paying myself that money, but I have made the money. It's objectively it's a statement of a fact. I brought in these animals at 225 pounds, and the average weight on these animals right now is probably close to 550, 600. I'll be taking animals to market at about 850, 900. It'll probably be closer to 850. It may be 900, but I'll go over that here in a second. And so it's a statement of a fact, okay? These animals are definitely bigger now than they were when I first brought them in. All of them are, okay? And so these animals are stable. And I have a large excess of feed supplies, okay? I have a large excess of feed. I would reasonably anticipate that I am able to grow grass. I can actually, I can grow grass to feed all of these animals probably until, probably for 3 months. This month, next month, and, December. And so I don't have any shortage of feed supplies. It doesn't matter if I have, I have zero shortage of feed supplies right now, okay? For me to legitimately, graze the amount of grass that I can grow, I mean, I would need a lot more animals, okay? So I have zero shortage of feed supplies. The animals are definitely bigger now than they were when I first brought them in. And I would reasonably anticipate that they continue to appreciate for until their market weight goes to about 1,000, or until the animals hit about 1,000 pounds. I would reasonably anticipate that I can actually make more money by just holding on to the animal. So the amount of equity that I have in my herd is constantly moving upwards. The amount of equity that I have is constantly moving upwards. So right now, even if I invested with straight debt, I could actually, the amount of debt that I have on my portfolio would actually still continue to move downwards. Granted that I didn't go and buy 25 animals on debt immediately, okay? Like if and so this is what I've been thinking about. I should actually probably just buy about 5 or 10 more cattle on debt and just hold on to my animals for another month. And also, this has to do with the preconditioning space as well. I don't think I'll be able to, if I sell 5 animals and I buy 10, my preconditioning space will be completely full. So if I sell 5 animals and I buy 10, my preconditioning space will be completely full. I do have 5 calves in the preconditioning space that I can bring out here. So I can add 10 animals to the preconditioning space. But, so I can add 10 animals to the preconditioning space. I can take 5 from the preconditioning space, bring them over here, sell 5 and add 10 over there. But I can use a little bit more debt. I do have a little bit more debt that I can use. I could realistically buy about 10 more animals on debt, okay? About 10 more animals. And so I really want to use that money. If I sell my animals and put that money back into my herd, the amount of equity that I have in proportion to my debt will just, it's already, kind of becoming a wonky situation. It's already kind of becoming this, the amount of equity that I have is becoming astronomical, okay? I wouldn't be surprised if I end the year with about $150,000, $200,000 put away. But my whole thing about, if I was legitimately going to pay myself all the money that I make at the end of the year, right? If I was going to pay myself all the money that I make at the end of the year, I would be selling all of my animals and then holding on to cash, right? But why would I do that? Why would I do that? That's a horrible idea. The cash isn't going to do anything. It's going to get taxed. Why would I do that, right? I'd be selling a bunch of, a bunch of, 200, 300, 400 pound cattle. Why 500 pound cattle? Why would I do that? right? A majority of my money is going into the front end of the herd. So I would, if I sold all of the animals that I had at the end of the year, that is a very, that is how I would determine how much money I make for the year, right? If I sold all my money, if I sold all my animals and I took a look at how much money that I made throughout the year and I added it all up, that's how much money I would make. And there's a very real possibility that I end the year with about $150,000, $200,000 put away. And so, but why would I do that, right? When I sell my animals and then I reinvest the money, I put the money into the front end of the herd. Okay, I put the money into the front end of the herd, and so I would be selling a bunch of small cattle. And why would I do that, right? I mean, I might as I can put them on feed and just grow them out to be bigger, and then I'll make more money on them, right? So, but the big idea right now, what I've been taking a look at is I'll probably end up selling 2 or 3. Well, more than likely, I will end up selling 2 or 3 at a time. I will sell 2 or 3 cattle at a time, and I will go to the sell barn and I'll buy about 5 animals at a time. And then, so I'll be selling 2 or 3 and reinvesting the money for 5. But if I do that, I really would like to, buy 10. And so it'd be sell 2 or 3 and buy 10. So that's the big idea. Take a loan for 5, sell 2 or 3, sell 2.5, but sell 2 or 3 at a time. Sell 2 and then 3, or 3 and then 2, and then reinvest the money and then take a loan for 5 more on top of that. So I'd be selling a 2 or 3 and I would be buying 10. But even if I did that, the amount of debt that I have on my balance sheet in proportion to my equity would go downwards. The amount of debt that I have would still go downwards in terms of a proportion. The numerical number may go up, but the amount of equity that I have would be far greater. The amount of equity that I would gain would be far greater than the amount of debt that I added to the balance sheet. And so, but this is a very very easy way to look at it. These animals, they're all stable. And the animals that I have at home, the small little animals, the ones that I've had for about a month, they're all stable too. They're all good to go. I had one animal get deathly ill, but he's doing okay now too. He's doing a lot better now. And that's the thing. It's like when you bring home these calves, and I warn about this all the time. When you bring home these little diddly doodad calves, when you bring them home and they're little 250 pounders, if you bring home 10 calves, 1 or 2 of them are going to get deathly ill. I'm serious. 1 or 2 of them are going to get deathly ill. And, there's a very real possibility that one of them gets deathly ill and then that illness spreads to another one. All right. So, there's a very real possibility of that. And so that's something that you should understand. OK, that's also why it's so important to understand cattle medications. 1 or 2 of them are going to get deathly ill. And if you don't know how to handle the situation, it could get out of hand very quickly. All right. And so that's just something to note. And, this is a very good time to look at it. I had one animal get deathly ill. If I hadn't got on it right when I did, he would have probably died. Starting maybe about yesterday morning, he's actually doing a lot better. And how can I tell? Because he's drinking a lot more water. And the reason he's drinking a lot more water is probably because he's eating a lot more food. And when I take a look at him, I could tell that he's getting bigger. He is swelling up, like he's eating and drinking a lot of food. Or he's eating a lot of food and drinking a lot of water. I can actually tell that he is swelling up. And he is he's eating a good bit of hay, and he's also eating a good bit of feed. I let him out for an hour this morning, and he just sat there and he nibbled on grass for about an hour straight. He didn't lay down. He didn't do nothing. He didn't go. He didn't go. Hang around. He just straight up ate grass for about an hour straight, and then I put him back in the barn. So he is definitely eating a lot of food. Okay, and he's drinking a lot of water. But effectively, 10 to 20% of these calves, they are going to get deathly ill, and you're going to have to know how to utilize cattle medication to handle the situation, or it could get out of hand very quickly. And so, about 1 or 2 out of every 10 animals is going to get deathly sick. Okay, and you're gonna have to learn to to deal with that. Granted that if you bring them in real small, okay, if you bring them in at 250 pounds, At least one or two of them probably. I would, just anticipate that if you bring home 10 and you really want to just be on top of it, if you bring home 10, two of them are going to get deathly ill, okay? Just think, just consider that as a possibility. But that, these animals, they're all effectively stable. They're all profitable. I have zero shortage of feed supplies. It's not going to cost me. I won't spend any money on fertilizer for the next month. Until November, I won't be spending any money on fertilizer. If I do spend money on fertilizer, it would be at the end of the month, and then it won't be a lot. But I probably won't be spending any money on fertilizer at all. I probably won't. The grass is already green. I've definitely got a bump in the biomass accumulation, and the weeds are dying. So if I just get some rain, this grass will grow. I'll be able to grow enough grass to feed these 23 animals with zero issue. Okay, and so yeah. But right now, I really need. I'm really looking to use a little bit more debt. I'm looking to use about 10 more animals worth of debt. And the reason that I'm looking to do that is because I have all of these stabilized assets. They are profitable. And I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried about it. If I sat here and I didn't use any debt, let's say that I held on to my cattle, and actually this is why. Here's another way to look at it. If I sat here for the entire month, let's say that I said, oh, well, the big animals right now, they're probably about 800 pounds. The big ones are probably about 800 pounds. They may be up to 850. But realistically, they'll be profitable until they're about 1,000 pounds. And if I decided to do so, I could even raise them to 1,400 pounds if I felt like it. Am I going to do that? Probably not. Okay, I'll probably end up selling all my animals at about 1,000 pounds or less. Okay, somewhere between 800 and 1,000 pounds. So I take a look at my situation, right? I take a look at my situation and I determine, well, I got all these animals. The big ones right now are probably about eight and a quarter. And if I hold on to them for one more month, they will probably be about 9 and a quarter, 900, something like that. Something like that, 9 and a quarter, 900, something like that. And I will still have made a profit. And for me to raise the animal from 8 and a quarter to 9 and a quarter, it's not going to cost me any more money. It's not going to cost me any more money. I've already got the grass. The grass I already have enough biomass accumulating to feed the animals, right? So it's not going to cost me anything. And if I sit here for the entire next month and I don't sell my animals and I just let them get bigger, there will be a monetary value in the size of the animals, right? There will be a monetary gain from the gain of weight in the animals, right? The animals that I will be liquidating will go from 825 to 925, and the average weight of my herd will have gone from 550 to 650, something like that. 550 to 6 and a quarter, something like that. 550 to 650, right? So there will be an unrealized gain in the herd, right? And my debt proportion, even if I don't sell any animals, even if I do not reinvest any capital into my business, even if I do not do that, the amount of debt that I have on my balance sheet will still go down. The amount of debt that I have in terms of a proportion to my equity, will still go downwards. Why? Because my animals are getting bigger. And the animals that I am selling, I will be selling at a higher weight. So I take a look at my situation, and I still have access to about 10 more animals worth of debt. So I take a look at my situation, right? And I say, well, even if I just sit here and wait, the whole thing about me is that I make money 24/7. I make money 24/7, 365. Okay? I make money all the time. Even if I sit here and I wait, I still make money. And so when I take a look at it, I figure, well, if I'm going to sit here and wait for a month, that's, I might as well just use debt to increase the size of my herd. Because the proportion of debt to equity is the amount of equity that I have is always increasing. Granted that there is not some cataclysmic event. Granted that I did not, severely kick myself in the dick. Granted that I did not become an idiot. the amount of equity that the way that I set up my business is effectively I make money 24/7, 365. Okay, the amount of equity that I have is always going upwards. And if the amount of equity that I have is always going up, why is the amount of equity that I have always going upwards? Because my animals are getting bigger all the time. I have them on a buffet. I don't have to pay anything more for the grass for, the next month. Right? I mean, if I had a lot of rain, then that, maybe I would use some fertilizer, but this October is supposed to be pretty dry. That's what the almanac is saying. I'm supposed to have a pretty dry October, so if I don't have any moisture, the grass is not going to grow anyway. There's no metabolic activity if there's no water. Okay, the plant excretes the water molecule in exchange for carbon dioxide, and if there is no water in the ground, if there is no water to excrete, the plant cannot obtain any carbon, and if the plant cannot obtain any carbon, hardly any carbon, then it's hardly going to grow at all. The carbon is the basis. Is the basis for its physical structure. A carbohydrate, right? Sugar is a carbohydrate. It's a hydrated carbon. Okay. I don't know if the carbohydrate in the plant is from the carbon from the atmosphere, but long story short, if there's no carbon in the plant, the plant if the plant is not metabolizing any carbon, then it's not gonna grow at all. Okay, it needs some carbon to create its physical structure. So. The plant exchanges the water molecule for carbon. So if there's no water, then I'm not going to be able to really grow anything. And so but I wouldn't be surprised if I end the year with 150, 200 grand. I wouldn't be surprised that I'm just sitting on. I'm sitting on 150, 200 grand. Sometime by January or February of next year, sometime by the end of the year to February next year, I'll just be sitting on 150, 200 grand. And then my whole thing about it is next year I'm looking to leverage against my assets. I'm looking to leverage against everything. If I got 200 grand sitting there, then I'll go and I'll take a loan for 160 grand. If I got 200 grand sitting there, that's realistically about 70 cattle. So if I got 70 cattle sitting there, I'll go and I'll take a loan for another 160 grand. And if I take a loan for 160 grand, that'll buy me probably 120 cattle. But the thing is, if I got 70 cattle, and they're at an average weight of 550, 600 pounds, something like that. The average weight on them is 550. Then they'll be worth more than they'll be worth more than the amount of money that I put in to buy an animal. So if I have 70 cattle, and this is also what I mean by I'm looking to leverage against pool number 2, and this is a good look at pool number 2. Granted that the cattle are not here anymore, but when the cattle were here and you were looking at the cattle, it's a good idea. It's a good representation of what pool number 2 looks like. The animals were 225 pounds when I brought them in, and now they're probably about 550 on the average. 550, 600 on the average. Okay, so if I have 70 cattle and they're 550, 600 on the average, and I'm going to go and take a look at the equitable evaluation of the animals, and then I'm going to leverage against 80% of that, I would be buying more than 70 animals. I'd probably be buying like 120, 120, something like that. And so, that's the big idea for, but that's also what I've been talking about, right? Like this whole thing, like if I just sat here and, whatever, right? If I just sat here and I just worked on what I got and I didn't really look to push myself or anything, I didn't really look to do better or anything like that. I just sat here and I just worked with what I got. I would still make like $350,000 a year, but the amount of money that I made this year is not that great. Maybe I made like 275 or something. But the reason that happened, it was because I liquidated my animals and I used that money to expand my business. But, that's also something that's very important to note, was that the reason that I liquidated my animals and utilized the equity was to expand my business massively. I will be getting the land squared away over the next month and a half. I'll be getting about another 100 acres squared away over the next month and a half, and over the next 4 or 5 months, I will be getting another 190 acres squared away, and then I'll be buying my own 100 or 200 acre field, something like that. 100, 200 acres is what I'm looking for. So but that's why I used the money. I sold my animals to have access to money, and then I used that money to expand the amount of land that I had drastically. So I didn't make as much money as I thought I was going to make this year, but on the other hand, I also found a massive opportunity to grow my business. That's where the money went. I didn't take the money and go on a magical journey. I didn't take the money and buy myself a nice car. I didn't take the money and start doing drugs or gamble it away. I used the money for something else, but the money that it got used in a way that would grow my business. So the amount of money that I made is not that great this year. I didn't even get to 350. I didn't even get to 350. I didn't even get to 350, but when it boils down to it, there are things that I did that it's difficult to put a financial number on, because I now have an opportunity to grow my business massively, exponentially. Okay, so that's very important to note. And but next year I will be I got a lot of things squared away. I'll be squaring away by another 120 acres of land over the next 2 months, and then over the next 5 months I'll be looking to buy my own land, and I will get that 190 acre field squared away too, and then I will expand drastically. I will start expanding drastically. But even right now, with everything that I got going on, just understand that this year I will probably still end the year with about $150,000, $200,000 put away in the equity of my herd. Why would I sell my animals, right? Why, and also think about the fact that a majority of my animals, a majority of my money goes into the front end of the herd. So if I was legitimately going to sell all my animals to have access to money, to just sit on money, oh my God, now I got money. The whole thing about having a good investment is you don't really even need a lot of cash if you got a good investment. I mean, if you got a couple $1,000s, realistically, if you got a credit card with 35 grand on it, if you got a credit card with even 15 grand on it, I mean, that's, it's whatever. You don't need cash if you have good investments, because you can always liquidate your investments, or you can collateralize your investments if you legitimately need access to a large amount of money or whatever, right? I mean, granted that your investments are good and they are producing you some kind of a return, you can use the return to whatever, right? You can use the return to do whatever it is that you need to do, right? You don't want to cannibalize the investment. I wouldn't suggest cannibalizing the investment. And that's actually another good way to put it. Not only will I have $200,000 worth of cattle, not only will I have $150,000 worth of cattle, but I will also be making about $50,000 a month. It's not just that I have the cattle. I'll also be making on a monthly basis. I'll be making myself probably about $45,000 or $50,000 a month. And so I wouldn't sell my cattle. I wouldn't sell but I'll also in terms of the total number of animals that I have, it'll probably be higher. But my equity in the deal will be about $150,000, $200,000 by maybe January or February of next year. My equity in the deal. I'll also have debt in the deal as well. And so it's not just that I have $150,000, $200,000 worth of cattle. It's also that I make $45,000, $50,000 a month. Okay. As a check in my hand, I may legitimately make $35,000 a month, something $25,000 a month. And if I make $35,000 a month as a check in my hand, and I have a lot of positive equity in my herd, I can just use the money if I legitimately need to use the money. But the idea is not to use the money. The idea is to put all of the money back into the business right now, okay? That's the big idea. That's what I'm looking to accomplish. I'm looking to put all of the money back into the business. But when I put all of the money back into the business, that increases my equity. And I'm looking to leverage against that as well, okay? I'm going for it. That's the big idea. But in all honesty, even right now, If I just did this for the rest of my life, I would still not have to worry about money forever. That's very important. And even if I had nothing, I could redo everything in 30 seconds. These are important considerations. If I had nothing, I could redo everything in 30 seconds. Even if this was all I did for the rest of my life, and I just whatever, right? I just I didn't focus on growing my business. I just reinvested my money, and then I just just continued to work, without thinking about growing the business efficiently or anything. All right, if I did that, even if I did that, maybe I would end the year next year. Maybe I would end the year next year running maybe 250, 350 cattle for the year. Or, maybe I would end up with maybe about 400 or 500 cattle for the year. But what I'm looking to do is go to about 1,000 or 1,500, okay? That's what I'm looking to do. I'm looking to push my business, I'm looking to do, the best. I'm looking to, push my business, as efficiently as I can. But even if I did this, even if this was all I did, I would still have whatever. I would still have $200,000 worth of cattle, and I would still be making, I would still have $150,000, $200,000 worth of cattle, and I would still, be making whatever $50,000 a month, $50,000 a month, and that would still be enough money for me to do whatever the heck on the entire planet. Okay, but I'm not, I'm not interested in doing that. Okay, if I bought myself a nice house and a nice car, and I put $10,000 a month into the S&P 500, that's not going to do anything for anybody other than me. Okay, and so I figured I'm gonna grow my business as efficiently as I can, as efficiently as I can, and I am looking to reinvest all of the earnings back into the business. And when I do that, that will increase my equity stake, and I will look into leveraging against that as well. All right. Oh, and yeah, I'm gonna make a legitimate lot of money, but even if I if I feel like I can't do it, then I can always just come back, okay, and just do this, and it won't matter. I still make enough money to where it doesn't matter. Okay, I still make enough money to just not worry about money forever, even if this is all that I do. Okay, I'm serious. It's a lot of money.